Hello, and welcome to She Leads Biotech, the podcast that celebrates women leaders in the bioscience space. I'm your host, Sharon Cox, CEO and Managing Director of CNA International, based right here in New York. And each week I'll be talking to women leaders about their work, their triumphs, and challenges, providing invaluable insight into how women can unlock their superpowers and succeed on their own terms. So whether you're navigating your own career path in bioscience or you're passionate about science and innovation, I hope you're empowered and inspired by each episode.
My guest today has over 25 years' experience in the biotech industry, and her company has developed an RNA platform for next-generation cures. She's an advisor to governments, an angel investor, and has been involved in 5 startups, 3 of which she co-founded, along with a dream team of investors, advisors, and team members. She's generated $100 billion in enterprise value for the companies they founded and invested in. She's passionate about creating value and impact through science, technology, and collaboration. To share all of this and more, please welcome scientist, CEO, and founder of Genomic Expression, Gitte Pedersen. Gitte, hello. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Excellent. Where am I speaking to you from?
I'm in my little nook of an office at my home. I'm working from home today. Yes.
So we're in the same time zone.
Yes.
Yes, excellent. Because I've just come back from Dallas, so I'm still kind of a little bit of an hour out from there. I was at the Advanced Therapies Week, so there was some exciting stuff happening there. So, well, listen, it's lovely to talk to you. I really appreciate you taking the time out to spend some time with me. I've looked through your background. Oh my goodness, you're an investor, you're a CEO, you're a founder, you do all sorts of things. So I'm really excited to delve into this episode and follow your stories. So how did it start for you? Because I know, importantly, you're a scientist. So why did you choose that field, and what did your journey look like?
So it's a fantastic question, because if you look at everybody on my father's side, they are 2-generation scientists. So I think there's a genetic component. My profile, that is my brother, he's got a PhD in genetics. I decided to call up Novo Nordisk and ask them what kind of scientists that they hired. And they said engineers. And my father is an engineer. My uncle was a chemical engineer. So they said chemical engineer. I'm like, I can do that. So I just applied, put it in. It's a fantastic story, because I knew I wanted to do science. I knew I wanted to do something with biology. I was fascinated by genetics. The fact that all our cells have the same blueprint, the DNA, but they developed into this very complex nature. How does this happen? And this was my first mystery that I wanted to unravel. And Novo back then, it was before they merged with Nordisk, was the #1 company. So I just aimed high, and long story short, I graduated in the top 5% of my class, and they sent a letter that I never received. I was doing my master at the State and Serum Institute, which on my project. So I worked very late, and it was before cell phones. And my mom called and said, they keep calling. They want to interview you. And it was for this management training position. And that's the only job that I ever applied for. And I got it. I had to interview with 3 directors, and I got in. And that was the first batch. It was basically management trainee position. There was 5 of us. And we did everything from R&D to production to sales and marketing. Amazing experience.
Incredible. And how long did you stay with them?
I was there for 10 years.
Oh,
And planned to be there for so long, but they kept throwing new challenges at me, and that's what kept me going. I done so many amazing things while I was there. I also, it was when Lisa Kinkel was on the board, and they dwelled into environmental sciences and started talking to NGOs about the safety of genetic engineering, and there was concerns among certain groups. And I developed the first life cycle analysis. I worked with the purchasing department, demonstrating that the use of enzymes in different industries were actually carbon negative compared to the alternative, and much safer because enzymes are proteins, and then they're gone in the food system, whereas some of the chemicals that are used in manufacturing of everything from textiles to paper and everything we have in the house contains a lot of chemicals that are toxic for humans. So it was a much better solution, and that turned the whole conversation around with those groups because they could see the benefit of what we were doing.
What would you say was your biggest achievement while you were at Novo? If you had to pick one.
My first invention. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
So when I started, I just had a conversation, a meeting with my VP, and he just, he had never met me before, and I never met him. And, we talked a little bit about what we were doing at that department. It was a pilot plant where we were scaling up manufacturing to production. And he said, well, we had this project and we had 3 scientists working on it, and it just never really worked. Here's all the files, and he put it on the tape, but it was this.
And taller than you.
And so I was completely new. I'm like, and then I'm going to introduce you to your lab assistant. I never had anybody report to me, so it was a little scary. Suddenly I had to direct her. And by the way, you need to meet Jon, who's running the pilot. And this is a pilot plant, is a mini factory. So these were blue-collared workers. And my lab assistant said she doesn't want to go in there because they had foul language and stuff like that. So I knew that I had to overcome many barriers that had nothing to do with science in order to get this to work. So I sat down with Jon, and my dad have always been good with dirty jokes. And I told Jon all the dirty jokes I knew. And Jon and I became intimate. It's a good story. And
excellent story. I won't make you tell any of the jokes though, don't worry.
No, I want to tell all these stories, but I have my favorite. And then the project was really challenging. Fermentation of enzymes done by a natural microorganism. It just didn't work that well. And I did some literature to talk to the microbiologist, and we changed the media, and suddenly it started to work, but not quite. And then I asked the microbiologist, is this, because I did a comparison, what is it in the media? There was much more vitamins in the old media where it grew better. And I said, is it vitamin dependent? Not all organisms are. And he said, no, I've been growing it on all sorts of vitamin deficient media. It grows fine. And this is probably one of my superpowers because I did not believe him. And my first invention was trying out a way to produce a vitamin pill for this organism that could be scaled up to manufacturing. And that was the invention, and obviously it worked. So we scaled that up to production, and it became a fantastic product that was used in many different industries, from textile industry to the paper industry. And I don't know what they use it for. The detergents. Yeah, detergents. Yeah. First job, first success.
Excellent. So what made you leave Novo? Why did you choose to?
I started out saying I never planned to stay so long. So It's not a bad thing to change your environment. I wanted to learn how a biotech company works. So the job was perfect for me. I ended up in sales and marketing, was responsible for all the marketing material for the whole sales organization, changed it, got voted the number one marketing manager in the organization, etc., etc. So I learned so many things while I was there. And then it was time to figure out what else to do. And at that time, it became very clear that a lot of smaller biotech companies that now the government put programs out there so they could get seed funded had no idea on how to scale and had no idea on how to translate their science into a product and into a market and who they want to sell it to. And I had all that, all those skills. So I started, the first company was very low risk. It was called Proximity Venture. And then I moved to the US. I had been in the US before for Novo Nordisk, and I really enjoyed working here because if you sell technology into Europe, they want to reproduce all your data first before they trust you. And that takes time before anybody's making any money. US is different. You walk into a customer, you tell them how they make money, and they want to do it tomorrow. And I kind of like that. So, and the other part was that the US is by far the biggest market for any company. I understood the American culture because I've been here, and I wanted to help these very, very technical, amazing technology or science companies in Denmark into the US market. And so I packed my suitcase and landed here. I had some friends. So I did like most immigrants, couch surfed for a bit until I had enough money to get my own apartment. And my first client, I got into Amgen, and the second one into Genentech.
Oh,
At that point of time, and I had zero Rolodex. You have to remember that.
Yep.
Because I've been inside a big company. I haven't been with
Yeah.
the whole time. But what I learned about myself, and this is maybe my other, trait, is that I really like challenges, and throwing myself into the deep water is actually fun. Some people don't like it, but I like the challenge, and I feel very comfortable in those situations. So it was hard work, and of course, these companies wanted to hire me, and at that point in time, I'm like, no, I'm a consultant. This is my rate. You want to keep going? That's fine. And then the Danish Ministry of Foreign Affairs knocked on my door because I did a big event called, it was in the beginning of the internet days, and everybody was looking at moving it into Europe with their solutions, and they looked at the big countries first. What they didn't know was that the very tech-savvy North, there was more people online in the early days than any other European country, if you add Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and Finland together. So that's my, third superpower, that I get people to collaborate. So and they never done it before. The Norwegian, the Danes, the Swedes, I don't think we got the Finns to participate. I don't remember actually. But we created a big event at one of the biggest conferences where we were hosting it. And at that moment, Danish Royal Consulate in New York, they pulled me in and said, we want to hire you. And so I said, not for hire, but I can consult. And this is my rate. And I did that for 6 years while I had 2 kids. I married and found an American husband.
Perfect.
It was things happened. I worked part-time for 6 years and brought in $1 billion to the Danish biotech industry.
As you do.
As you do. Right? So,
and was that plain sailing, or what were the challenges you came up against with that?
Actually, it was so much fun. And again, I'm not working just for the money. I'm really enjoying what I'm doing. I had the opportunity to represent a country, and I got in front of the chief medical officer of Merck, the chief medical officer of AstraZeneca. We did deals. We invited, and I still remember this, Ian Dukes. He's now at OrbiMed, and one of his employees to Novo in Denmark. If you heard anything about Novo, it's the number one restaurant on the planet, and it in Denmark. And I had cleared that. By the way, getting a reservation was completely impossible. But I brought these guys to Denmark, and my boss said, you should take them to Novo. I said, I can't get a reservation, and it's very expensive. And he said, I can get that done. You know, when the Danish consulate calls, we can get that done. And then we had a fantastic dinner, and then they bought a Danish company and integrated it. But I had to call her and said, you have no idea how expensive it is. And she's like, don't worry about it.
We can see $1 billion in your future. So we'll do this. No problem.
Yeah, no problem.
So talk to me about what you're doing now. Genomic Expression. That's your company, right?
Yes. It is a passion project. My North Star have been from the beginning to find a way to better select treatments for cancer patients and ultimately cure cancer. And that's a big one, right?
Yeah.
Because we have been trying to do this for so many decades, and we have chipped away at certain corners, but we haven't really got around it in a big way. I had the unfortunate experience that both my parents got diagnosed with cancer, and again, my brother has a PhD in genetics, and we went through that journey as family members, and we looked through everything, clinical studies, publications, etc. And it's like, this sucks. It's kitchen sink of chemo, and if you really look at long-term outcomes, it's marginal, where you may get another couple of months on average.
Yeah.
And that's just not good enough. So it wasn't good enough for us. So we decided to start a company called Genomic Expression, and we focused on analyzing RNA in tumor tissue and liquid biopsies and then add technology to translate that into better treatment options for patients today and in the future, better and possibly completely individualized RNA therapeutics. So I'm a big RNA fan. It started with RNA and it's continuing with RNA. And on my LinkedIn, it says I'm an RNA enthusiast. And I continue to be very bullish about that. Now, marry that with AI.
I wanted to ask you about that. That was what was going through my mind as you were talking there. I don't want to get political in any shape or form, but I did read that our not my president, because obviously I'm British, but the president of the US is approaching, is it like $500 million to AI development specifically for cancer? Is that correct?
That is correct. And I'm very excited about that because
I was going to say, what impact would that have on you guys?
It just RNA is the software of the cell, and we have developed a very inexpensive, scalable platform to analyze RNA, and we already have amazing data to demonstrate that we can not only advise in terms of or guide treatment selection today for patients that do not respond to standard of care. So remember, this is super static. And in the future, we can bend the cost and time curve for developing better RNA therapeutics. We already knew that with all technologies. So I will say that healthcare is a place where people always used a lot of statistics and bioinformatics, especially in genomics, but add AI to that. And again, AI is a technology.
Yep.
It superpowers everything. So we have a biology software company now that is completely scalable, where we have all the regulatory pieces in place to scale it as a diagnostic. That's a payer code. That means that we can get paid. Always helpful. Data. Yeah, it's always important. And marry that with a backend that translate that data by combining the clinical data to better treatment options in the future. And we already have some proof of concept that we can collapse the timeline from RNA code to RNA therapy. And I don't want to go in, it's a little proprietary, but we can envision that we can collapse. Moderna and BioNTech is already proven that individualized mRNA vaccines increase response to checkpoint inhibitors, but it takes them 9 weeks to manufacture it. And if we can collapse that down to 1 week and reduce the cost, this becomes suddenly something we can dream. And again, it starts with a great dream, but we can envision that we can do for all patients. Huge for patients, if you can train your immune system to recognize the cancer, it doesn't recur again.
Right.
Okay. So it's super important. All the other drugs are potentially increasing risk of cancer, other types of cancer, because they're toxic.
Right.
And we can see how by using RNA and RNA therapeutics and these technologies that you can develop therapeutics that are very targeted only to the cancer cells. And so you don't have that kind of collateral damage. And you can do it with a speed that is unsurpassed of any other small molecule, big molecule, whatever technology out there.
Excellent. Oh, wow. So the future's looking bright.
The future is looking super exciting. And again, you can have all sorts of opinion about the current administration, but this is something that I can get 100% behind.
Excellent. Well, I'm really pleased to hear that. So what else are you involved in? I know you're very into empowerment of women, of people in general. You're involved with is it a non-profit or a charity, iTry?
Yeah. iTry is not for profit. It started 16 years ago, and it is helping and empowering young girls in middle school to set a goal and reach it, and eat better, have a better body image and self-confidence. And they do that by teaching girls to eat better, cook, and by setting a goal, meaning a mini triathlon. So some of these girls, and this is the community I'm in, has a lot of immigrants and families that have less means, and they don't have means to teach their kids to swim or bike. The organization gets coaches, they work for free, to teach these girls to swim, to bike, and at the end, they complete this and run. Of course, it's a triathlon to compete, but it's really about competing against yourself and actually accomplishing this, achieving something. You achieve that, and what you learn is that you can set a goal and you can reach it. And I think that transforms the mindset of some of these girls. And then my contribution have been on the academic coaching, especially in STEM.
Yep.
So seeing girls and women that love science, and some of these girls were absolutely amazing. They skipped 2 classes. My kids have been very privileged because I've been pulling them to all sorts of after-school programs at the Museum of Natural History, and they started science education when they were 3.
Yeah.
But here I'm in front of girls that clearly have an amazing mathematical talent, but taught herself with an iPad. And her parents don't have time because they're working 2 jobs to take her to any after-school program. So this is completely self-directed, and coaching these girls to continue and also connecting them. I had the kids had a fantastic science teacher that did these science fairs at their local school here, but that was not the case for this school. And I said, maybe you can compete and present projects as a guest, and we can coach you through that. Some of these girls got into Princeton and into other schools. So I have a passion for women and girls in STEM, and it starts with that early education and exposure, and it's not scary or wrong or weird, that you feel really excited about it and you want to dig in. Yep. And it's so much easier to feel comfortable when you can see that other women and other men, successful people in that field, and have a mentor in that process. So my girl went through it, and she loved it. It was just also the other part, which is something that sometimes holds women back, is lack of self-confidence in their body. And it pains me that, and this is one of the significant downsides of social media for girls, that they compare themselves to other girls and they have to look in a certain way.
It's unrealistic, right? They're all totally
It is.
unrealistic
Well, it's also a
expectations.
waste of your time, right? You should be concerned about how you make a big paycheck and pursue your dreams, not about your looks, okay? I haven't been to the hairdresser for 2 years. I don't have time. I cut my own hair. And I hate sitting there for several hours. I'm sorry. It's just freaking boring. The same thing with sitting there and getting your nails done. I just can't do it because I have other interests. I'd rather read a book. I read books every day and scientific publications. So I want to fuel my mind with things that interest me, and social media and other people, how they look is just not one of them.
That's not one of them.
So what, because I don't actually know if I still got it. I was talking to somebody at this conference, yesterday, and they recommended a book to me by Peter Altiva called Outlive. Is it one you've come across?
I read so many books, but not that one.
I was hoping that you could give me a quick less about what it was. Can go, I covered now.
You read quite a number of books about longevity. I want to highlight the first one I read because it was more than 20 years ago. I forgot the author's name, but it's called Younger Every Year. And it was, is now they published one specific for women because obviously women are not just small men. They have a completely different biology. And one of the big learnings, and I think it's out of the box now, is that you have this idea of aging as a, slow declining slope that you can't do anything about. 20 years ago, this guy said, no, you can actually go like this. And then at some point, you die, whatever. And we are going towards that.
You haven't figured that one out yet, how to start.
No, I'm not so much yet. But I'm not afraid of death, but I hate pain. And I don't want this slow, life quality decline. And I saw it, unfortunately. My parents and my mother in particular smoked, and it was a slow decline. I wanted to avoid that. And I gave the book to my husband, but I read it. He never did. And
I did read it.
Oh, now he's saying in the background.
I caught that.
Well,
Prove
we
it.
can talk about it later on. I did something about it. So I changed my diet, and I changed his diet too, I should say, because he eats what I make. And it's really about how you eat healthy every day. It's about what you do every day. I exercise every day. I run every day. So that's what I was saying.
You're making me feel really bad right now.
No, I'm so sorry about that. But I want to inspire you because take small steps, right? And you don't have to start out running. Just walk. If you walk for 10 minutes every day, that's how you start. We can all walk for 10 minutes unless we're in a wheelchair.
Right, yeah.
And if you're in a wheelchair, take it out for 10 minutes because there's something that happens in your brain when you're outside. You connect, and I get a lot of ideas when I'm not in front of a computer. I don't try to control what I'm thinking.
Yep.
And I don't have the constant stimulation. It's part of my daily mental routine as well. So build it up. Since I was 15, I have not had a break in exercise for longer than 3 months, and that was when I moved to the US. It's been my daily routine and eating well. So these two things will keep you on that slope and not on that one.
And on that one. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
let's hope that could
There's much more data out there, also in terms of Alzheimer information and cancer. On cancer, I found a very early publication. It was a Danish scientist, a woman, that took tumor tissue and dumped it into blood from runners, women that ran and women that was not active, and put it into mice. And the tumors that were just dumped into blood for a brief moment of runners grew slower. And she went on to figure out why. It's just to show that with very simple, and the larger scale studies where the impact of physical activity is now, you can just Google it. It's pretty evident.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of evidence to support it.
Yeah, I don't have to convince you.
No,
So,
you don't have to
or
convince
anybody
me.
else.
I just need an incentive.
Yeah, so again, the incentive is go for a walk. My husband is like, go walk the dog, right? There's a reason why having a dog makes people live longer. Sometimes the obvious reason is just that.
I don't have a dog. Maybe if Ryan Reynolds was running in front of me and I wanted to chase him, I could maybe run after him. And but there you
Yeah.
go. So what's next for you? Because obviously, you're certainly going to be around for a long time. What?
Planning to. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Absolutely
what
right.
You've done so much. You've been involved in so much. What for you is left? What's your next challenge? What's the next big thing for you?
We really need to get the company properly funded. And we are on start engine, but only for another 2 weeks. I had the assumption that I knew my investors in the beginning of 2024 because I've been around in the industry. But traditional life science investors invest in a known paradigm, and they mainly invest in drug discovery and development. And I want to change all that. And they just don't really trust it or believe it. So my assumption was, and again, I'm a scientist, so I can test my assumptions by asking more people. And that's exactly what we did the second part of 2024. And my conclusion is that my investors are tech investors that understands biology and are excited about changing the way we do things and are not intimidated by it. The tech investors, you can think about it as they disrupted every other industry, but not healthcare. Healthcare have throughout the last 20 years become less productive, more expensive, without really producing better results for patients. So it's time to do something different, right?
Okay.
And I think they have the appropriate risk profile that even if we don't get to all of it, we will get somewhere. It's worthwhile taking a swing at it.
Okay. All right. What would your advice be to somebody starting out, somebody with a passion?
Yeah.
The science, somebody with a, but they don't really know where to go with it or what to do with it. What would your advice be for somebody with a passion to take it to that next stage?
I think it's even easier than it was when I started out because now you have LinkedIn. So put up profile on LinkedIn. Figure out who is a leader, thought leader in the space you want to occupy, whether that's a company or person, and be bold. Reach out. I picked up the phone, right?
Yeah.
He called Novo Nordisk. Got the HR department, but they sent me a package this big, and I read it, and then they noticed me and applied for a job. But I will do that, and then I try to find mentors in my social network that maybe my parents or somebody else at organization like I try or a local organization. I try should be scaled. It's already has produced the results that is just amazing. So we know how important it is to have mentors. I had amazing mentors in my parents. Both of them were super supportive of what I was doing. Sometimes they were a little worried. Like when I went trekking in the Himalaya, I was an intern for Geige, which is now Novartis, and out of touch for like 3 months before cell phones. And they knew that I would do things. And I'm like, listen, I bought an insurance. If I die, they send me home. Okay. I was just not no back one way or another. That was probably not what I should have said, and certainly not what I want to hear from my kid. But it taught me several things, and also in the way I teach my kids is that you have to take some risk, and you have to be willing to learn to fail, and then keep coming back, and try again, and maybe adopt your approach a little bit based on your learnings. And if somebody says no, just take that as
Not yet.
as that person. Maybe there's another person who will say yes. Try again, try again, try again, try again.
But it could also be that no is not, it's no for now, but it's because it's not yet. So
That's true.
you keep
That's
trying.
true.
Yeah.
That's true. Absolutely true. My husband, who I love dearly, used to work at Wall Street. And, one of the things that he says often is no is just the way to a yes. And the other one is that, what's the difference between a little shot and a big shot? And the answer is a little shot is a big shot is a little shot at some point that keep shooting.
Yeah.
Right? So you just have to keep shooting. Don't get deterred when people say no.
And if I did that, I'd have been out of business 45 years ago, because
Exactly.
I did lots of no's in my job, but each no is a step closer to it. Just we'd have to understand more, or no, we don't need it now. Now is not the right time. So, okay. Well, listen, I've no doubt that whatever you do next, I don't see very many people saying no to you, Gitte. So,
It happens every day.
okay. Well, that's even more encouraging that you get
It does, because, as I said, 2024, we started barking up the wrong tree, the standard type of life science investors, and it was a clear no, no, no. And the ones that could have been, we don't invest right now. We just try, because the IPO market wasn't open.
Yeah.
But that's just not now, right? It's not a complete no.
Yeah.
But I think 2025 will be different.
Great.
So
I wish you every success in 2025. I look forward to following how things go. And obviously, as your company grows, I'll be more than happy to help you find the people that you need to grow along with you. But I wish you continued success. I look forward to staying in touch. Maybe we can meet up in New York at some point. I'm just outside, just over the Queen's border. So
I'd love to do that. My daughter lives in New York. I come in and hang out with her, and love to do that.
Excellent. Well, let's get a date in the diary. I'll reach out and make sure we can do that. But thank you so much for your time, and I'll let you get on with the rest of your day.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Well, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. She Leads Biotech is brought to you by CNA International USA, a woman-owned boutique search firm based in New York. If you're looking to hire talent for your company or want support in achieving your career goals, please reach out to me at contact@cnaint.com. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. And remember, the success of every woman should be an inspiration to another. So don't be afraid to share yours. Thanks again for listening. Until next time.